make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Hi everyone, we're back. I'm here with Tywanah. Hi.
Hey, how are you? So good to be here.
I'm so glad you are here on your little TV screen. I feel like this whole vibe here kind of just goes with, like you were saying, you were a 70s kid, and this just kind of goes with your whole thing.
Yes, you took me back. Took me back.
I love kind of everything about you. I'm not gonna lie. So tell us about you and how you have evolved into who we see in front of us.
So, I am a child of a lot of abuse that happened in my household, 70s kid. And I didn't start talking. I didn't really share what happened with my family. I wasn't like forthcoming with the actual abuse that happened. And unfortunately, it spilled into my adulthood with me choosing terrible, terrible, terrible partners. Terrible, terrible partners.
I think common, right?
Yeah. It was bad. My father traumatized me beyond belief. No girl should ever have her father do those things to her. And so, of course, your father's supposed to be your first love, the person, you look for your next partner in. And I did meet every partner was a form of him. So I did that, but just not in the right ways. And so I had my daughters very, very young. I had stopped emotionally maturing at 15. That's when the most traumatic event happened. And I kind of switched over into survival mode. I don't want to, trigger anyone here by saying what it is, but I'm happy to share if you'd like to know. I'm an open book, but so, I was a grown woman, but had the emotional maturity of a 16-year-old. And so I raised my children with a lot of mistakes. They witnessed domestic abuse. They witnessed a lot. My babies witnessed a lot. And the icing on the cake was, I thought I had chosen better. I thought that finally, I got it through my head. And I met this 4th grade teacher. And I'm thinking, like, you finally did it. You finally chose somebody who's got a good head on their shoulders.
Yeah, that sounds safe.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
He works with kids all day, a cute little son. He was my father reincarnated. Checks every single box, as my therapist said, for covert narcissist. And never laid a hand on me. But the psychological torment, my therapist said, what I went through was what prisoners of war go through. With the psychological torment, the constant yelling, keeping you awake for days at a time, knowing I have epilepsy. Just berating, belittling, and, and then trying to clean it up just a little bit so that I didn't tell anybody. So I was stuck in that trauma bond cycle. And it ended with me trying to take my life. He had finally taken all the life, all the love, all the boisterous energy that I have away from me. And I felt so desperate, so worthless, so alone. And I'm thinking, my children are adults now, they've got their own lives. They're okay. They've got each other, and I'm done. And the spirit world had very different plans for me. And so I remember taking the medicine. I remember leaving the house, and I remember going to sleep in the woods. And then my memory goes into seeing my stepfather and my mother at the edge of this forest. And I'm like, oh my God, my stepdad was, I was his heart, I didn't know I wasn't his until I was 10. So, I did get a little bit of a portion of being a daddy's girl. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Daddy, like, you know, and he's got his head down like this because he knows what my mother's getting ready to say. And my mother's like, it's not time. And I'm like pleading, like, you know, Mom, please, I'm tired. You know, I've been through so much. I can't do this anymore. The girls are fine. They don't need me. They've got each other. You know, they're grown women now. And she said, no, baby, actually, your purpose begins now. And she pushed me back into the 3D realm, and I wake up in the hospital. And, you know, in that moment with not clear thinking, I'm like, wow, you couldn't even do that right. Like, are you kidding me? And like, you know what I mean? That was my first thought when I opened my eyes and looked around. I was like, wow, you couldn't even do that right. But, you know, I had a bit of a hospital stay, and therapy was mandated afterwards and things like that. And my middle child, who is the bravest woman I know, she's my hero. I admire her from the very depths of my soul. She goes, Mom, you're getting discharged home, because I had my own place. Wasn't like I really needed him. I had my own place. I had a beautiful townhouse in the rich side of the neighborhood. So I got discharged home, and the phone calls and the text messages kept coming. But again, my children don't know. My daughter's starting to catch on that this is abuse, right? But they still don't have anything concrete to prove that this is what was in fact happening. And I never shared it with them because I didn't know at the time. And my sister, who had just lost her partner of 20-umpteen years, suddenly, she calls me. I was in Atlanta at the time. She lives here in DC, and she goes, Sis, I think we need each other. Will you come home? And I said yes. And so packed up. Of course, he's like, you don't love me, or you wouldn't leave, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I'm leaving. I'm going to DC. My sister needs me. You know, I've never seen her broken except for when Mom died. Excuse me. She's got this 6-month-old cane Corso puppy that she has no clue what to do with. And, you know, here's Auntie, the dog whisperer. And I came home, and it was when I was living with my sister that I realized I'm a healer, because even in the broken state that I was in, I'm filtering her emotions. I'm like a literal filter. I'm an empath. So I'm literally like a filter for people's yuck, you know, and I return it back to them in good energy. I transmute it and alchemize it. And so, you know, she started coming back to her usual self, her usual, you know, condescending self. And I'm like, oh, she's good. You know, she's good now. And I got my apartment, and my mother's voice got so loud. It got so loud. She would wake me up out of a sleep. It was undeniable. It was as if, you know, I was a young girl again, and she was standing there. That's how loud her voice became. And so I couldn't ignore it anymore. And so she had me like, start writing. I'm journaling hours and hours, sitting out on my balcony all night, just journaling, writing, you know, meditating, learning how to meditate, learning how to quiet my mind, learning how to listen. And she slowly started introducing my ancestral team to me. And, you know, I knew my daddy was there because he was at the edge of the forest, kind of with his head down, like, you know, boom, boom, you can't come with us. But I learned I am a 4th generation healer and psychic. And that blew my mind.
And you never had any idea up until that moment? Like
now we always knew I was psychic. She tells me the story of when, and this is when she was still here in the 3D realm. She told me the story of how, you know, when I was 2 years old, you know, back then in the 70s, a lot of kitchens had doors. It wasn't all this open concept type thing. And she said I was 2. and she heard me squealing in the living room and toddling around. So when she opened the kitchen door to look to see what I was doing, I'm going, "Pop, Pop, you can't catch me. You can't catch me." And I'm just giggling and squealing. And she said she's looking puzzled, and then the phone rang. And it was my Nana telling her my Pop had transitioned.
Oh my gosh.
So she knew then that I had the gift. But society and fear and expectations made me shut those gifts down. You know what I mean? Like I always knew. And it was funny because my first husband always used to say, "How do you know this? You've got to be psychic. Like, how did you know that?" And I would laugh it off or whatever, you know, try to play it off. But when her voice got so loud and her presence got to the point to where I could visibly see her in front of me, there was no denying my gifts at all. And so she started, you know, like I realized my Nana was a healer. And I remember my Nana always, like, I never really remember my Nana happy. I just remember her always just in this sad state. She would laugh and she loved us to no end and stuff like that. But she just always had this sad energy. And it's because she was a healer and she didn't know who would accept it. You know, we're talking about the 70s. We're talking about you'd be put on lithium if you tried to explain that you're a psychic and a healer and you're seeing things. So it made sense, finally. And then my mother, you know, I knew my Nana's mother's name. So when she told me, you know, my great-grandmother was here, I knew Grandma Henrietta's name, and that was fine. But then she gave me 2 additional names. And I'm like, "Okay, lady, who are these people?" Because no one, I've never even heard Jerusha. What are you talking about? And, you know, in my mother's funny way, she goes, "You have this Google thing, Google it." And so I'm on my laptop and I'm on Family Search and I'm on ancestry.com for like 3-4 days in a row. And finally, there's a picture of a headstone. It's the only photo in my family's lineage, and it is my Gigi Jerusha and her mother. And so then she brings her forward. And, you know, each ancestor serves a different purpose. They each have their strengths and things and come forward for different reasons. And so I learned even though I walked away from a lot of my family, my children decided to go no contact, understandably. I love them and I think they are the bravest souls on this earth. I'm never alone. There's always a room full of people here. My pop-up, of course, is with me. My daddy is with me. My brother, I didn't realize he was with me until one day I'm like, "Okay, there's a male presence." I was making my coffee and I said, "There's a male presence here that I don't know, but it's kind of jokey." And I wasn't afraid of it because my pop-up and my daddy didn't come forward. So usually if there's a threat, pop-up and daddy, pop-up's behind me, daddy's in front of me. And I just heard like this jokey energy. And finally he goes, "It's me, sis." And I'm like, oh my God, my brother Ricky passed when I was 10. And so I'm never alone. And I started tapping into all of these different metaphysical healing modalities instead of just talk therapy. And I'm gaining all of this momentum and all of this strength back, despite the fact that I lost everyone I loved. No one that I loved in my life is in my life today, you know? And again, my children, they're brave. They deserve a break. They deserve time to heal because my trauma affected them, you know? So I'm not one of those parents who are like, "Yeah, well, I'm your mother and you never." No, I'm your mother. I didn't heal. I should have done it 31 years ago. I didn't. I'm sorry. And whatever the consequences are, I fully accept them and stand in my truth, you know?
Yeah.
But so then as time went on, my mother's like, "You have to help the others. You're strong enough now. You can finally start to help the others." And I'm like, "Who are the others you're talking about?" And she's like, "The other little girls who went through what you went through." the other girls who were in group homes, because my mother was in a very dark space when I disclosed what my father was doing. She had just received a life-threatening health diagnosis. She was a nurse. She lost her ability to earn money. She was too weak to even stand up sometimes. And so when I came forward, my mother went into this, I don't know what to do type of state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was there when my mom transitioned. I told her before she transitioned, Mom, I forgive you. I realized what you were going through. And, you know, when you're put in a position to where it's like, okay, yes, I could take this child and walk away, but I don't know how much longer I have to live. And I can't provide anything for her. No food, even if she got food stamps and Section 8. And it wouldn't have been possible. We lived in New York City. And so I did go live in a group home. And what's funny is my siblings, who my father had with his first wife, surrounded me with so much love. They went through background checks. They had defects all in their business. Even his first wife went through that for me because she loved me and she knew the monster he was. And she worked for DFAX in Brooklyn at the time. And I was placed in a group home in Queens that was not good. And she put her job on the line to call and say, hey, can you have her transferred at least to, you know, this one? And they did. So, you know, I call her my stepmom, but she was there. And so I had some love. You know, I had people who did authentically love me and believe me and want the best for me while I was there. My mother's children, not so much. It was, why are you tearing the family apart? You're always a troublemaker. You talk too much, blah, blah, blah. And until this day, we don't have good relationships. I've completely cut my eldest sister out. I cut my brother out when he asked me where the proof was. And I told him, I will write a letter, notarize it and sign it. You can take it up to the New York City courthouse and pull the records. Oh, you had to go to court? No, New York City just has funds to remove kids from a suburban home for no reason. Like, really?
Yeah.
So life has been very interesting. And I always say it's been the longest, shortest 2.5 years of my life. Aside from missing my children and my grandchildren, I wouldn't change it for the world. I would not change one day of my life for the world, because the emails that I receive, the messages that I receive, I watched you on this podcast and I had the pills in my hand to take my life. And now I'm choosing to live because I found strength in what you said. To get emails like that every couple of days, that tells you you're operating fully in what Source created you to do. From men, 2 of them were from men. I was blown away. My first client that signed up to work with me is a man. Just blown away. And so now that the throat chakra's fully unblocked, I use my voice and my time to bridge the gap between the spirit realm and the material realm and guide others into the light so that they don't have to feel the darkness that I felt. You know, so that they know these modalities are there for them to heal. That's what I do now. So that's what Black Butterfly Goddess, my alter ego, is all about. It's about,
and that's also the website. So make sure we'll have that down here, but that's also the website to go to.
Yeah, it's about leading others into the light, getting people to own their truth, helping people to understand that shame, that guilt, that thing that keeps us in bondage, it's not ours to carry. We did nothing wrong, you know, as children. We did nothing wrong. We didn't deserve that type of abuse. Helping women to realize that they're trauma bonded and being abused. That's a real big thing right now.
Yeah.
these trauma bonds, which a lot of, narcissistic people rely on. It's psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wake up every day, and no matter how much physical pain I feel, because I have epilepsy and I have titanium sitting on my sciatic nerve from a car wreck, no matter how much physical pain I feel, on the days where I feel sad, where I miss my children more than anything, who can I make smile today? Who can I inspire today? That's the way I look at life now. I'll walk to Walmart and just smile at someone. Hey girl, I love your shoes. Sir, I love your cologne. Tell me the name,
Yeah.
Because
That's why I wanted you on the show, because I just feel like you radiate that, and you are helping people, maybe even people that, and like, that aren't contacting you, that aren't working with you, that are still maybe afraid to write that email to you. Like, you just never know who you're affecting.
Exactly.
And I think I have two questions. Well, I have many questions, but one, going back to like your childhood, and you, and your psychic abilities, do you think everybody has that ability and some people don't tune into it, or do you think that it is like selected people who are able to do that?
So I believe everyone has a degree of being psychic. Some of us can tune in a little bit more, but I believe that everyone has that gift. But it's so, in the Western culture, it is so, it's talked about like we're out here doing something wrong. I'm called a witch on TikTok Live sometimes, and it's like, really, can you go somewhere else? Can you keep scrolling? Because I'm not sitting here putting hexes on people. You don't see me on here with black candles. The background's very bright. I'm colorful. The people in the audience are, tuned in. My mother has a TikTok following. She's a Leo. And they always ask, what did Mama Lorraine say? Let Mama Lorraine choose the deck. Let Mama Lorraine choose the cards. And I'm like, how do you get a TikTok following from the other realms? When I told my best friend from high school, she was like, only our mothers could do that. Only our mothers could do that. But I'm not out here hexing people. I'm out here giving people hope.
Yeah.
I'm giving people light. My mentor got on me yesterday about gifting people readings because my heart hurt for them. She's like, all right, girl, like, I know these are our gifts and things like that, but I need you to kind of reel the nonprofit in you back a little bit,
I understand that. Yes. Yeah.
Because your energy is worth something.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So how do people connect with you, and how do people, obviously you're on TikTok Live and Instagram Live a lot. But how do people connect with you? On your website, or what's the best way to contact you?
Black Butterfly Goddess on all social media platforms. They can DM me. I'm cool with that. I don't give away a lot of free advice by DM, but I will listen to your situation to see if I can guide you. And 9 out of 10 times, my mom will give me the answer. She's always on this side of me, by the way. So if I look that way, she's channeling. But I really tried to make it easy for everybody. Black Butterfly Goddess across all platforms. You met me under my real name, of course, and my name is posted here. So if you're feeling like you're in a very desperate and desolate space, then you have permission to DM me on my personal Facebook or Instagram, because I just don't want anybody to hurt.
What do you want people to take away from today, from this interview?
I want people to know that I see them. I want people to know that a lot of things that happen to us were not our fault. I want people to understand that they are loved, they are needed. We all come into this world with a purpose, and that, you know, if no one else has ever said it to you in your life, it's less than 10 letters, and I waited to hear it for 49 years. I see you. You matter.
You're gonna make me cry. That means we have to go to a break. But thank you so much for being here and telling your story to not only me but to the world, and being open and honest. And it takes so much to get to that point where you want to talk about it and you need to talk about it. And I'm
Yes.
so glad that you're there and you're out there doing what you're doing.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Like I
Thank
said,
you.
I'm in love with your set.
Well, come on over. Next time, let's do it in person. It's even more fun inside the
Oh,
room.
I'd love that. Oh my
Well,
God.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Website again is blackbutterflygoddess.com. Go check that out, and we will be right back after this.
In this world of innovation, would you rather have an old, outdated flip phone or a brand new iPhone? A horse and buggy carriage or the newest luxury hybrid? A dial-up router with your AOL account or a super fast Wi-Fi hotspot? With nutrition, what you have been using or taking up until now hasn't been bad. There's just something newer. We all appreciate advancements in science and technology. In the same way we seek the best and newest in our electronics, vehicles, and everyday conveniences, wouldn't you also want the best technology and newest innovation for your nutrition and supplementation? At the time, you may have had the best from what was out there and available. Now, there is something better and newer, more bioavailable, more convenient, better tasting, faster acting. It literally is the equivalent to getting an IV full of high-tech nutrients right into your bloodstream, without the needle, without the appointment, without being attached to anything for a specific length of time. Simply pop these tasty, all-natural lozenges into your mouth and savor as they instantly start to absorb into your bloodstream through your mucous membranes. That's it. And with the added benefit of negative ions, in other words, energy, there isn't anything else out there on the market like it. Now is the time to switch to the next improvement and innovation in health and nutrition. It's time for advancement. It's time for better. It's time for APL Go and our rapid botanical DNA drops.
Welcome back, and thank you to all of our sponsors. Today's show and every show, you'll see all of their names at the end in the credits, and we couldn't do the show without them. And if you would like to sponsor the show, go to Make Your Day Richer at buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher. There you go. It's right there on your screen and in the show notes and in the comments, and support the show so we can continue talking to amazing people every day. Our Rosie memorabilia moment of the day is her book that she wrote with her breast doctor, bosom buddies. There you go, right there. I got this. It looks like at Kmart, of course I did, for $9.74 back in, when was this published? Let's check. It's a book all about, it's lessons in laughter on breast health and cancer. She was a huge advocate of breast health, breast cancer. That's what her mom died of. And this is from 1999. So there you go. She did the comedy part and her doctor did the actual, science part. And it's a whole book about that. So go get them. This is what it says in the back. Whatever you call them, boobs, the Zumbas. Oh, can I say this? Titties. Lucy and Ethel, they provide pleasure, sustenance, motherhood, womanhood, and life itself, but they can also be a source of trouble. So there it is. It's the most important questions and answers on breast cancer and breast health. Bosom buddies. So we'll talk about boobs when Rosie's on the show. Tomorrow we have a great show because Waxhaw Community Theaters show, The Day the Internet Died, opens tomorrow night, and we have one of the actresses on the show tomorrow morning. So stick around to see that and talk about theater, and then make sure you get tickets to see the show. It's this weekend only at the Waxhaw Community Theater. So there you go. We will see you tomorrow with an all new show. I love you all. Go do something great for yourself and for somebody else. See you later.